It's very strange to me that someone going through menopause would have to suffer with hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, decreased libido, anxiety, depression. That's just weird. And we're told that these symptoms are normal. It's part of life. We just have to cope with it and accept it because your sex hormones naturally decrease with age by a factor of at least 50% because you're no longer having functional ovaries anymore, right? So the question is this true? And the answer is no, it's absolutely false information. When you go through menopause, you have two backup organs. They're called the adrenals. And the adrenals make all of the hormones that the ovaries make, okay? All these sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and they make a lot of other hormones too, like cortisol, aldosterone, DHEA, things like that. So the way it's supposed to work is during menopause, you have a decreased ovarian function and the adrenals are supposed to back it up and start making these hormones. And no, it's not normal to have any symptoms when you're going through menopause. So what is the problem? Okay. Well, take a look at this chart, right? Here we have a chart of the metabolic pathways through the adrenals, the different layers of the adrenal, and the different hormones that are created by your adrenals. You have mineral corticoids, glucocorticoids, androgen, estrogen. All of these hormones stem from this one thing, this one raw material. Check it out right here, cholesterol. That's right. The very thing that people are telling you to avoid because it causes heart disease, right? So at the expense of lowering cholesterol through the diet, a diet recommendation, or medication, boy, are your adrenals going to suffer because that cholesterol is a required material to not only make all of your sex hormones and all of the adrenal hormones that are on the outside called the cortex, and also cholesterol is the absolute required material to make vitamin D. And you know how important that is. Also to make bile salts to help you digest fat, to make sure you have enough vitamin A, D, E, K, and also to supply your brain. Do you realize that 25% of your brain is cholesterol? In fact, certain cells in the brain, these are support cells, they're not neurons, they're called glial cells, make cholesterol. So 75% of all the cholesterol in your body right now is made by your own cells, not just by the brain cells, by other cells as well. Only 25% comes from the diet. And you might be saying, well, I do eat a lot of fat in my diet. I have my olive oil, I have my soy oil, my canola oil, I have my avocado oil, I'm consuming my coconut oil. Really? Well, guess what? There is no cholesterol in plants or plant oils or seed oils. Cholesterol only comes from animal products. And I want to emphasize that 80% of the cholesterol that feeds the adrenals is in the form of LDL, that so-called bad cholesterol that we have to avoid. So by cutting out cholesterol from the diet or using medication that lowers the cholesterol, there's all these cascade problems, all this collateral damage that can occur, including the big ones of menopausal symptoms, depression, anxiety, loss of memory. If you think about even one of the side effects of statins, which is a medication to block your production of cholesterol, one of the symptoms is called transient global amnesia. Okay. You have certain times where you just lose your memory. When you're on statins, you actually increase the risk of cancer. People with higher cholesterol have lower incidence of cancer. So apparently there's this cholesterol immune system relationship. Now, that could be because of vitamin D or other factors. And we all know the common symptoms from being on a statin is muscle pain and muscle problems because of what it does to something called coenzyme Q10, okay? That molecule is blocked when you take statins, and that's essential for allowing your mitochondria to use fat as fuel. So it's intimately involved in the production of energy, especially in your muscles. And so if you starve off the muscle from getting energy, you get all sorts of problems. And this is one of the biggest side effects and reasons why people stop taking statins is the side effect of lowering cholesterol. And so if we take a broad look at all the symptoms that women go through during menopause, they all relate to a deficiency of sex hormones. And what many women don't realize is the vital importance of just supporting this cholesterol to feed these hormones, to make sure they have the raw material. And what you're going to find out if you make just a slight change in your diet is the very dramatic and sudden disappearance of these menopausal symptoms just by increasing more cholesterol in the diet. And now you know why, because all of these hormones are built from cholesterol. So start adding more cholesterol to the diet. And the number one food that can actually help you is high quality grass-fed butter. That's right. Start putting it in your coffee. Start putting it in your food. Don't be afraid to consume real butter. And again, realize that you can't get your cholesterol from plants. So all these other oils, okay, which are fine, like olive oil is fine. Some of these other oils like avocado is fine, but it's not going to help you build up your adrenal hormones. And by the way, the more stress that your body goes through, especially during menopause, the more cholesterol you need, especially more LDL. Now, the key to this, to make sure that this LDL doesn't end up being the wrong type of LDL, because there's two different kinds, is this: as you increase your dietary fat, you also at the same time want to reduce your carbohydrates, because you never want to consume a high sugar, high carb diet with a high fat diet. As long as you keep your carbs low, as in the ketogenic diet, you can consume higher amounts of this fat. So butter is number one. You might want to add some fatty cheese, like brie cheese. I would recommend grass-fed. Don't be afraid to add cream. Like I get my raw cream every week from a local farm. Egg yolks, another important source of cholesterol. Seafood, organ meats are all awesome to help support your adrenals. And do not do lean proteins, okay? Don't do low-fat anything, because the more lean the protein is, like even protein powders, you're going to stimulate more insulin. The fat helps buffer the protein on the insulin index, because if you keep the insulin down, you're going to be protected. Now, during this process, it may be helpful to add vitamin D as well as purified bile salts to help you digest this fat. I'm not saying go crazy with unlimited amounts of fat. I'm just saying that if you are on a low-fat diet, I'm talking about low animal fats, you need to start increasing it. And if you have a hard time digesting it, chances are you probably don't have enough bile salts. Add those to the mix so you can digest it. And you might just be very pleasantly surprised that your menopausal symptoms magically disappear. Now, if you have not seen my video on the difference between the two different LDLs, this is a very important video to watch. And I put that video up right here. Check it out.